Welcome to the Rocks and Oceans podcast, where you'll learn all about living in healthy masculine and feminine balance. We're your hosts, Jamel Harris and Alex Golden, and we made all the relationship mistakes before, so you don't have to.
Fun, connection, abundance, and a whole lot of sexy time will become your daily reality when you choose to step into an aligned way of knowing yourself. No worries if you feel salty and cynical from heartbreak. That's often the most powerful starting point for transformation. Welcome, and we're about to have so much fun together.
What's up?
Hello, everybody.
How y'all doing? Seems like it's been over a week since we've been on here, so we're
It
glad to be
has
back.
been. Oh my gosh, I know. That week went by so fast.
I know, right? You are busy certifying coaches doing what you do.
I know, right?
I love it. All right, so we want to jump on here today to talk about competition/jealousy in relationships. And this is a real thing, and we wanted to talk about it today because we feel like it's something that a lot of people struggle with. I feel like it creates the demise of the relationship, and this podcast is about us helping people come together, stay together, and have a healthy relationship. And so this is one of the things that we noticed, and we just want to talk about it. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, when they looked at kind of predictors of divorce and predictors of relationship issues, while contentment and holding contempt for your person was the number one predictor, this was also on the list of like being competitive, seeing the other person's wins as not necessarily a good thing, seeing their bad things as not necessarily a bad thing, that all of these behaviors that stemmed from competition and jealousy really do lead to the demise of relationships, and not just romantic ones was actually what they found, that this is true of really any relationship, partnership, things like that. But in our primary, in our home, it's really easy to get into this stuff, as we all know, and have probably all lived. Because it can create, I think the reason that these issues come up as these cornerstone problems is because something like competition and jealousy can really, it creates a fertile ground for a bunch of behaviors that can be small but harmful. They're like these small repetitive touch points that can permeate all areas of y'all's life together, and then be really, really sneaky in how it happens, right? Because competition and jealousy, if it was really obvious, most people wouldn't feel about people the way that they do, but it's not that obvious oftentimes on what it actually sounds like, right? And as we were sitting and thinking through this podcast episode, we were having on the table, and we'll kind of get to it towards the end, this understanding of, to even clock that this is happening, you need to have your wits about you, like being able to watch for someone's eyes. What do they look like when you're speaking? Someone's body language, the shift in tone, kind of like the vibe of, oh, this is a warm vibe, and oh, it just got kind of chilly and frigid. There's, to even clock it takes a certain amount of presence. And I think that's why it can be real sneaky. It can come in before you even realize that it's permeated your relationship, and now you have a problem on your hands, which is why I think we want to talk about this kind of stuff, right? To begin to have it on the table of, I first need to have this in my awareness to look for it. Then once I got that down, then I can come with the plan on what to do about it. But having a plan on what to do about it when you can't even notice it, that's a bit of a rough order.
Absolutely. And it's like a cancer. It's like it starts really small in stage 1, and it grows to stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. And if you don't catch it beforehand, it can get out of hand, if that makes sense, and kill the relationship, so to speak.
Sure can. And yeah, let's talk about what this looks like. And actually I think it can be so far reaching that it really can be anything but like not feeling excited for a win that you had, like a better job or a promotion, kind of like putting shade, or sometimes in that like backhanded comment like oh, you're going to be having all this money, you better, what are you going to buy
You think
for
you're all
me?
that.
Yeah, like what are you going to buy for me with all that money? Like it must be nice to not have any problems anymore, and like sort of like dismissing everything else in life just because something else good happened. That's just like a real shitty sneaky one.
Yeah, and we're talking as if we're not partners. Like if I get a promotion, you get a promotion too. So it's not like all the money is not coming into the house. It's like we're throwing shade. It's like cancer. Literally, it is. A cancer is
Killing the host.
Killing the host. Like it's a mutation inside your body, killing you from the inside. And hating, competition, jealousy, it's the exact same thing. It's a cancer from inside your house, and if you don't realize it, it can be then kill the relationship before you even know it. And so again, we're here today to nip it in the bud and say, hey, this is what it looks like. It could look like a job. It could look like social media. I know some relationships go left off of people liking other people's posts, or you posting a certain thing. Maybe
Who got more likes?
yeah, who's getting more likes? Maybe a guy posts his shirt off, the girl posts a bikini. It's like, whose looks better? Like, it's not even about that, by the way. Some of that stuff you should not be doing because that just creates unnecessary problems, like posting your bikini and your shirt off. And I've done this, and it's not a good plan, right? It does not help the relationship. It looks like you're thirsty.
Yeah.
But that ain't what this is about today.
Well, I mean, it's
all
not.
been thirsty.
I mean, it's one of those. It's like yes, as in it harms the relationship, but also it does not. It's not attractive from the outside, so it's not like there's a bunch of suitors waiting for you when you get out of that relationship. Like the thirstiness does not magnetize the great people to
Let's
you.
talk about that one. Like, let's just talk about posting a thirst trap. Let's just take that for example. Like, because I've done it before, and I don't know what you're thinking when you do it. I think it's maybe you feel bad about yourself, so you need the validation from the external sources.
Yeah.
And that's where
I think that's
begins.
everything here. Yeah.
Because you're wanting to get the validation from the external sources, maybe because you hadn't gotten it at home, right? So now you're stepping out on your social media needing everybody else to say how good you look versus your partner, right? So let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
So on that note, I mean, I'm sure most of us out here have social media. And like I said, I've done it before. And we just transparent on here, y'all. So what the stuff we're saying, we actually did it. That's why we're having a podcast. But I've done it before. And I just think back. I could think my partner at the time, she's like, why'd you do that? Why were you posting that? And sometimes we don't even know why we posted. Like maybe we feeling bad about ourselves that day. Or I don't even know why we do it. But it's some type of psychological reason that we do it, because you got a whole partner at the house that quote unquote loves you, or they may really love you, right? Yeah. And I say quote unquote because they may act like it, but you don't feel it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But they may quote unquote love you, they may really love you, either way or somewhere in between. We have this whole person that we live with, and we're doing things to hurt them, and it's unintentional too, but it still hurts them, and so. Talk about that from the feminine side. I saw this on social media just maybe 3 weeks ago. This guy posted, he's talking about he's looking like some singer, and the girl's like, girl, let me get your man's phone. She was trying to help her friend. That was like, you're married. You should not be posting this picture out here like that. So tell me how it looks from the feminine side, like if we post our little thirst trap, and I'll try to talk about how it looks from our side.
If men post thirst trap, I mean, gosh, I may not be I do think all of the competition stems from not feeling good enough for ourselves. I do think psychologically that's the main thing. I think that for me, from the outside, it's the same for when I see men and women. I think you can always tell from the vibe of, is someone actually like feeling themselves? And they are like, I was really just at the beach and I'm really just having a good time. And this is a real representation of my actual life. Like for me, the thirst shot, I feel like if you're at the beach, you know, everybody else can see you in a bikini. So that is the appropriate way. Like there is a way,
like
or maybe you're at the gym and you really do have your shirt off. As long as it fit, I think that the vibe hits different on that. Like I think people can actually tell the difference between,
That's a good point.
I am just secure. This is where I really am. I'm on a hike. It's hot. Like I'm not necessarily putting my shirt back on just to shoot this video or whatever. I think there's a difference for that comes through. But then I think for both men and women, when someone is really doing it from the attention seeking, I think people can tell. And what's wild is that if you go to the comments, a lot of the comments are like calling out the person. I think all of us, I think humans can just feel the thirst.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can actually, and the person might be going, no, no, no. Now, where it gets a little messy is sometimes the person, I truly think that they're like, no, I thought I was feeling myself. But that's where the people from the outside often see things within us that you can't see for yourself. And so sometimes those people, I think, and when I look at those comments, I'm like, sweetheart, we say this with love. Like, you might need to check in. Like, maybe you're not as confident in yourself as you think you are, right? Because the overwhelming effect does not come across in the thing. And I can say that because I think it's the same vibe that gets people to feel like they can come up with you when you're taken or not. Like the thirsty vibe is, I don't have a whole lot of men that come up to me when I'm out and about, but that's because I think my vibe is very much like, I am not a single woman. When I walk around, I don't walk around like I'm single. Like my mind's not on that. My body language, therefore, is not on that. My dress, like no part of my life is expressing that, because really I'm not on that. Like I'm really not on it.
Yeah.
So no one's going to pick up that vibe. So it's weird. I mean, does it happen? Sure. Yeah, the occasional one pops through, but for the most part, I am not like, I do think it's a problem if someone's like, I have all these options open. I'm like, ooh, baby, what are you doing to create that experience? Because sure, can I cultivate it? Absolutely. Am I doing that? No, I'm in a relationship. Like, I don't need that vibe.
I think that's what we're talking about, is like, if you go down to social media and every single picture is you and your tight dress, your bikini, if that's everything, then that's where the problem is. But like you said, if they're like at the beach, or, you know what I'm saying, we're on family vacation, everybody's in a bikini, that's one thing. But when you're in your bedroom in the middle of winter in a swimsuit, that's a whole different thing, right? And same thing for us guys too. When we're it's not summer anymore, it's fall, and so you're taking all these pictures with your shirt off, it is sending the wrong message. It's nonverbal communication that I am available, because certain things, I'm old school, should be reserved for your partner. You know what I'm saying? Now, I done got ratchet too. I ain't, you know what I'm saying?
It's all good.
We've all done it. But what I am saying is, like, even with you, I don't post stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't. Neither just because it invites the wrong type of energy, if that makes sense. And so let's talk about, think inside of a relationship, how that energy comes in there. Because you posted the picture, you started it, but now you're inviting all this different kinds of energy into the relationship, whether warranted or not. The fact is, it happened, right?
Right, yeah, because so it goes like this. So we got together with someone because we thought, oh, this person sees the good in me, and we can work this. I see the good in them, and we can work it out. Then you get into a relationship, and then you start realizing, oh, this person can see the inadequacies that I have, right? And so if you haven't done that kind of work where you feel confident despite those things and know how to work on it and resource yourself and like actually feel proud of who you are and accept yourself and all of those things, then what comes in is you're not going to spend a whole life existing with someone that just like triggers you, right? So for that to work out, you start looking at some of the stuff, like what can I compare to where I can retain this view of myself of feeling good, right? Like where I can appreciate it. So then the competition and the jealousy starts. Oh, they did that bad thing. Ooh, okay, cool. I do bad stuff too. I'm still fine. Then all of a sudden they do something that's good, and like they post, they get a bunch of likes. Now all of a sudden that's holding up that mirror to you of like, I'm not feeling as good about myself because they posted the things and they actually did get a lot of likes. Like, what if I didn't, right? And so that's actually what's happening there. And then that's where it kicks off to, once you are posting that, on either way, let's say a man posts it because he's not feeling great about him, and then she's not feeling great about her, right? She's going to say, oh, that he did it first of all. So the feminine's always going to multiply whatever you give us, right? So putting yourself out there, that's going to get multiplied. So you're going to see some of
baby,
those
why
things.
y'all got to be multiplying? No,
well, we make kids and stuff, so sorry. Comes with it.
Multiplying everything.
If you want to hand us a pre-made kid and then we'll hand one back, then that'll be the not multiplied version. But if you want to put the building blocks in and get a whole new person, then that's what comes with the territory of women. So that's always honestly, to me, that's for men, that's the whole key, is like always you're starting the party. So if you don't want it multiplied, be very careful with what you're starting, right? So the way multiplication works is that it's an exponential, right? Like, so you can fully expect one thirst trap from you. I would expect a whole lot more.
5 from you?
Yeah.
Damn.
Right. So if you're surprised at that, you're like, but I only had one. Hey, you're not understanding how men and women, like the masculine and feminine, work. Like, that's just okay, cool. That's how that works. So we're not going to act surprised when those kind of things happen. It also then stands of if she does that multiplication, what is that going to start? Because if she's got more people circulating in the wings than you do, that's probably not that fun of a thing. Right. Like, and that's not a competition and who has more. It's more just like that may or may not pan out for you on what happens next, right? Like the DM replies
y'all typically have more guys after y'all than
yes, right. So that's where it's like you're gonna think through what the end result of that is and what's gonna happen, and those 5 and the multiplication of all that is gonna happen. It doesn't mean she replies to any of them, but that energy is, being invited in. So now your relationship is getting impacted by that. But the flip side is she takes that and she actually says, I, from my own self, am not proud to multiply that. And that's actually the worst version, because that's her saying, I'm not sure I can trust to be on this path that I'm on with him, and I'm going to stay purposefully a little bit off so I'm not going to take that on so I don't multiply it. And that's great. You got a good one, like that's a solid, you did some stuff. She didn't multiply it, but now that's where the distance is going to happen, because essentially she's not being led by you anymore, because she's having to look at your path of leadership and go, ooh, I would not be proud to be that. And that is a bigger problem than you will ever have with a thirst trap. Right. Like the concern there is that she's going to see, oh, I'm not proud to live in this way. And that then is a whole bigger, I think most men would prefer someone just post thirst traps and then they talk and they shut it down and they fix the thing. But if you got a woman that can think and is really like in her own agency of like, who do I really want to be? Then there's actually less reassurance. You could actually fuck that one up probably more long term, by being, if she decides I'm not doing that, then that's where it's a little, it's good for you, but also
Yeah.
kind of bad for you, if that
So the
makes sense.
bottom line, fellas, we are the leaders, and so however we started, they
Yeah.
gonna finish it. Is what I'm hearing you say. Is that right, babe?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think if we flip it for a feminine posting thirst trap, that just goes directly to, can we have a discussion? Because again, if that's not the leadership that you want to have, then you can have a discussion, and then it's the same, ends up in the same place. Either she wants to walk that path, she's going to say, "Cool, got it, no problem. I can hold that boundary for, along with you," or "I don't want to walk this path," and she's going to bounce off. But again, that's a very clear, very fast, like, it's done. More than likely, if you're going to stay in a relationship, she's just going to agree to it and say, okay, that's fine with me. But so you, a feminine doing it can always be turned around. That's the whole leadership thing. But that always makes sense, right? Is it the boss or the employees that get written up more often and can mess around, right? Of course it's the employees, because employees, like, the follower portion of it is the one that gets to go off reservation. Why would if a leader goes off path, there is no path, right? So as we're like, it's always kind of gonna stay in that realm, and it's always just so much easier, I think, to course correct when it's the other way, when it's the feminine sort of.
Yeah, I agree. And it even goes to, like, I've gotten myself into trouble even liking sexy pictures. Like, the other girls are in the swimsuits and liking them. Like, don't be doing that either, fellas, and vice versa. What we're talking about today is you want your partner to feel that love, that attention, that presence. That's what it's about. It's not about all the people out there. It's about the person that you live with, giving them that presence. And once they feel that presence, they can give you all the stuff that you want, whether it's physically, emotionally, all the things that come with a relationship. Is us being present with the person that we chose to do life with, and being considerate of their feelings in all the actions that we're taking, if that makes sense.
It's so true. Because, every single thing that you can think to do as, I'm going to do this to show them, I would just say a way to fix it is flipping the script. If I'm going to feel the desire in me to post a sexy picture to feel sexy, I'm absolutely going to do that and send it to you. Right? Like, as in, I can just flip the script to say, let me go all in on where I'm standing. And so that, let's say I am feeling a little bit jealous, like, hypothetical, this actually does not happen, where, let's say we were at dinner and I was talking and someone sexy walked by and you got distracted, right? And I felt a type of way about that. Then today I'm like, gosh, she doesn't, think I'm very sexy. And then it's like, well, I know if I post something, someone else will find me sexy, right? And that's where I think the going all in helps, because yeah, we're all human. You feel the sting and the hurt, but we also know that, especially in long-term relationships and forever relationships, you're never gonna not have any of that. Like, that we're human and some shit's gonna happen, and like, the care is not going to be applied or whatever. And so it's like, that's going to happen. Can you then make the choice to then still go all in? Like, right, a petty move would be like, I'm going to post because you were looking at somebody else, so I won't come get it from you. And that's, again, where it's like, can we just pause for a second and be like, what am I trying to accomplish here? Right? Can I actually utilize this desire in me to go and show up more powerfully in this relationship and still let's say I perceived as you moving away from me, can I still make the decision to step towards you anyways?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to, are you a healthy person in the relationship, or are you a hurt person in the relationship?
True story.
Because what I hear you describing is, if I'm a healthy person in a relationship, number one, let's just reverse it. There's hot guys everywhere. I'm a hot guy, but I ain't the only one. I understand that, right? So if I see you seeing a hot guy, that's not going to make me because I'm secure with myself, I'm not going to trip about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not all the way secure with yourself, that could make you feel some type of way and go post the stuff instead of communicating. Because this is what unhealthy people do. Instead of communicating, they go just, they see you looked at the person. She's like, oh shit, I can't believe you checked that bitch out. Like, but she didn't say all this out loud. It's in her head. But then they go post a thirst trap.
Sometimes you see it on her face.
That's very true. Then they go post a thirst trap, and all this is hypothetical, by the way. Post a thirst trap, and now the man is like, what you doing? And in her mind, she's like, but I saw you look at that chick. He don't even know you saw him look at that chick. And it's a whole mess, and ain't nobody communicating.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think what this comes down to is that competition, if you're the one doing it, and you're engaging in that thinking, you have to go address it in you. It's all an internal game. But then, let's say you're listening to this podcast and you're like, well, I'm the one dealing with this. This is some bullshit. And I'm going to hold your hand while I say this, but why are you with that person? Right. Like, as in you end up in the relationships that you end up in. So, for all of us, we are going to take responsibility for those things. So we're never going to, I think that helps make the conversations actually work, right? Because if we go down into the, oh my God, how dare they? Well, that conversation, we know where it's going to go. We're going to bitch for a while and we're going to get hungry and then we're going to, get snacks. But the actual, when you say, okay, but I chose this person, I am with this person, either A, that'll be your answer to be like, whoa, did I just say that? Right. But I think that's actually less people. Really, the reality is most people are like, the answer is because I love them. Right? Like, you actually did pick them and you do want to pick them and you actually want to be with them. So the whole thing of why are you with them should be the kickoff to say, I want to be here and therefore I'm not even engaging in this kind of behavior, right? To be like, I want to stay married and then go act competitive and petty and engage in these. You're sort of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Don't make sense.
It don't make any sense. It's sort of like, if you're going to be all in, just go all in, right? Go into the harder. Yeah. And if you're on the receiving side, right, you can either watch what they're doing, watch their face, watch how they respond and have the conversation, see if it shifts over time. And if not, that's your answer, I think. Of what to do with them. But otherwise, you just keep having conversations and have conversations of like, what do we each feel triggered about? What is it that we need internally to support ourselves through? Because, with this, we're saying, whether you're being impacted by it or you're dealing with it on your own, you're just like, it comes down to you feeling good. So really, even dealing with a healthy person, dealing with a jealous person is not going to have a big problem with that, right? They're either going to have the conversation and they're going to come with a plan to get over it, or the healthy person's going to say, I don't know why I'm here.
Right. And we all want to be healthy people, right? Because it allows you to operate better in the world. When you're unhealthy, everything is offensive. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you looked at me like this. And it's like, no, I didn't really say anything. I didn't look at you any type of way. But it's our internal insecurities that cause us to act certain ways and do certain things. And so what we're talking about, again, we always say this communication is, if you're going to be in a relationship, communication is paramount, because you have to have the courage to go to the other person and say, hey, I didn't like that. I like what you said earlier, where you said, hey, if I'm gonna take a thirst trap, you're gonna send it to me.
Yeah.
And my job is to enjoy that thirst trap and edify you and compliment you and say, damn, baby, you looking sexy, fellas. Because if she's sending you that and you don't do any of that, she's not gonna send it back again. And so that's a little thing that you could do, to spice up your relationship. But when one of the people do it, you need to let them know that they're seen, because
Yeah.
they obviously took time out to post up and take the picture for you. So you need to make sure that when it comes through, you're like, damn, baby, you sexy, you hot, whatever it is, however y'all talk to each other. I think that's an important point
Very
too,
true.
is to make sure that you recognize your partner when they do things like that. Because you have to, over time, do things to keep it sexy, keep it spicy, keep it hot. And so instead of posting it for the gram, post it for your fam. Meaning your partner, not your fam. That just rhymed.
I know. I did actually like that. I like that's
don't
got a
post
good
for the
ring
gram,
to
post
it.
for your fam, which is your partner at home.
Right. Yeah.
Specific.
One of the things that I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about, or the masculine thoughts about, are the women are kind of coming up these days on the like getting good jobs, building pretty badass businesses, having all together, and a lot of this like providing protection, the stuff that masculinity was traditionally kind of, and we already did that podcast episode, but as the women do our thing, I think that there's some of the men folk are struggling with some of the competition and jealousy. How do you think that goes? What do you think would, help that kind of thing?
Well, fellas, we have to do work on ourselves, right? That's to me, that's the number one thing that I did. I can only speak from experiences. When I started working on myself, I started seeing blind spots. Like, oh, you get jealous when XYZ is done, or this ruffles your feathers, or this happens, or this happens. So part of it to me is knowing yourself.
Why was it helpful? Like for someone who hasn't done the work, like it can be hard to know what that actually even really means. Like why was looking at that stuff actually important? Like how did it help you?
Well, I feel like if you're in a relationship and you're constantly getting triggered over and over and over and over and over and over and over, there's something there. Meaning, if you and your partner are getting into it a lot, if y'all are having a lot of arguments, that's just not a recipe for success in a relationship. In any, take out the competition and jealousy. Just any that's just not a good plan, right? And so, what'd you ask me?
I was saying how the men folk are doing with kind of the women coming up so hard.
Oh, yeah.
And the competition, like what's the thinking there? What can they do? I mean, yeah, and we're talking about the work.
Yeah. I mean, just like you're a good example. I mean, you're a doctor, you have a business, so you're very successful. And a lot of guys could be intimidated by you, but I wasn't, partially because I had done work on myself. Like, you're a separate entity from me. So what you're doing or not doing doesn't take away from me. And I feel like a lot of times, as the masculine, the traditional archetypes of providing the money, quote unquote, going to purchase the first home, whatever it is, the things that traditionally guys have been tasked with doing. I feel like when that stuff gets taken away, guys don't know who they are anymore.
Right.
Right. And so if they meet someone like you that's, hey, I can go buy my own house, I can do my own stuff, they don't know what to do with that because they hadn't done the work on themselves. And so I feel like it's very, very important to get to know who you are, so that, maybe you're in a relationship with a powerful female right now. That's a great thing if you see it that way. But you could actually sabotage it if you're not comfortable with yourself. And so when I met you, I'm just speaking from experience, I was working on myself. I was studying masculinity, and what you were doing or not doing, it didn't take away from me, right? I think sometimes we feel like it's taking a piece of us for whatever reason. It's not, but we feel threatened by it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it's the male ego. That ego is threatened of, I don't know what it is. I guess it's just a societal programming of, you're supposed to take care of the bills. You're supposed to, provide. You're not supposed to be asking your wife for money, but in our brains, it's like, she makes more money, I ain't going to ask her for money. It's like, I feel like it's that ego that creeps in, and it doesn't allow us to enjoy what God has blessed us with, right?
Yeah.
Because she's with you. So why are you tripping? Like, she's not looking for another man. She's not, she's with you every night. She's sleeping with you. She's calling you. She's sending you the thirst trap versus putting it on the ground. So to me, I feel like a lot of us guys, we have to do work on ourselves. That's how I got into coaching is, you know, in my previous relationship, I was very defensive. I was very, you know, I took everything personal. Like, if she would post something, are you talking about me? Like, you know, I ain't talking about you. I'm just making a post. But I had all these insecurities inside of me that made me feel like she was talking about me. And not only that, I wasn't a good communicator. So instead of me going to talk to her in a normal way, I'm coming in guns blazing. Hey man, what you doing? Posting that, blah blah blah. She like, hold on, what you talking about? But a lot of it was I didn't work on myself. I wasn't secure in who Jamel was. I wasn't secure in where I was going, what I was doing, and to me, that caused a lot of my insecurities, my I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I just didn't feel secure when certain things like what we're talking about happened, and it wasn't necessarily her. And I feel like it's the same for a lot of guys. It's just where are we? What are we doing, right? And if we could just take time to just be present for a second. I talk about this a lot. Does this really have anything to do with me? Like, is this really gonna, you know, is this really worth arguing about? Like, just taking a second just to just you don't have to react. Like, I feel like too many guys are so reactionary. It's like, take a second and just process what you're about to say before you react. And so, I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like, you know, we have to get better at our emotions. Like, they need to be processed. A lot of them are repressed. Like, we don't even know we have certain emotions. I know when I was going through my divorce, there was emotions and feelings that came up that I didn't even know was there. Like, I'll just start crying. Like, you hear people say that, but you're like, what is that? And so I felt those emotions and they became real. But I feel like that's what healed me up to be able to interact with you. If I wouldn't have done that work and processed the sadness, the anger, the guilt, the shame, all the different emotions that I was going through with my divorce, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I wouldn't be talking the way I'm talking. I wouldn't be as transparent as I am because now I know those are just things that I did. That's not who I am. And so once you learn that it doesn't define you, it's a lot easier to communicate and navigate inside of the relationship with the communication because you know who you are. And if that person decides to stay with you, you still know who you are. And if that person decides to leave, you still know who you are. And I think that's a good place to be.
I love that. No, that was really, really helpful. I think, so let me feedback what I heard. I think it sounds like there were multiple things that led to kind of going from the hurting to healing. And part of it was looking at beliefs, sort of like how does Jay fit into the world? Like, are you dependent on anybody else? Is there, it sounded like you had already rewired the beliefs of like, me and my girl are the same, as in you understood already that we're different and that my stuff wasn't necessarily defining you and vice versa. So you could just see it a little bit differently. So it sounds like there was lots of belief work about that and like identity work. And, there's many, many ways to work on that, but that's what I hear. And then the other for the emotional aspects is so true. I mean, every time we have a thought, then the brain releases neurochemistry, and then those chemicals flood our body and it makes us feel a type of way. So it's normal to sort of have that combo. And so for processing them, I know for you, maybe you could share if you can think of any more, but I know for you, for processing stuff, when you feel like you'll go out and do active stuff, especially if you're feeling like more worked up about it, like hitting golf balls, or we'll go for a walk, or you'll go to the gym, or you might journal or talk it out with me or something, but you're going to kind of actually get the emotion out of the body. Like you're going to do something until you're actually feeling the relief of, okay, this emotion has come up and now it's going away. And you kind of get the, anything that I missed.
No, I mean, you're on point because as we guys, we have to get that emotion out of our bodies some kind of way. Like, we have a stomp in the backyard for the kids. We've even taught them how to do it. Like, when you get angry, you can go beat the stump.
Yeah.
But it's just something about processing that emotion, because you're angry. It's a real deal. You feel it. You process. It's real, right?
Yeah, like
So
if
you
we
go-
did a scan of your brain, those centers would be lit up. So like it's a real state. You're not just, oh, I think I'm mad.
Right.
No, that's a state you're in. It's a real thing.
And for guys, we have to even say we're mad. Like, are you mad? No, I'm okay. You mad as hell?
acting crazy.
I'm fine. You something wrong? No, I'm fine. Like, we got to process the emotion.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
the feelings. Yeah, the processing the emotions. It's true,
Yeah.
right? Because
Exercise.
it's such a good game of like, if you address what came up for you and then move it through the body. A lot of times, most people at the end of that, they come and they have their own aha. Oh, hey, this isn't about me. And then now they don't have to go do the reactionary. Let me post the other thirst trap to hurt the other person, or let me go sabotage their money because they got a promotion. Whatever it is, good or bad, you don't have to do anything about it other than answering. Like, really, I think the only question is, are you going to stay or not? Right? That's the only actionable thing of, for some people listening to this conversation, they'll be like, the person won't work on it. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to, well, then you kind of have no hope. There's no way that you're going to work on it alone, right? If they want to be jealous, they'll stay jealous.
Yeah.
But everybody else listening to, if you have someone that's willing to work on this stuff with you, then really that's all that we're really talking about is, can you deal with your own stuff enough to leave your favorite person out of it? Right?
Yeah. I mean, what comes to my mind when you're talking is hurt people hurt people.
That.
If you're hurting people, you're probably a hurt person. Right. And so we have to work on that.
Mm-hmm. And now sometimes our people pleasing conditioning can kick up to that, and we're like, oh, I want to be nice, right? But we have to, when it comes to topics of niceness, we have to ask, like, who is it nice towards, right? And long term, what is the effect? Because being nice can keep a not well functioning relationship functioning not well for longer, right? You just kind of keep kicking the can down the road. The kind thing to do is to address the problems and to fix the stuff and to really actually make it good, not just pretend it's good,
Man.
but actually make it good. And so for that, you just have to be a little more cautious. All of our conditioning will say, ooh, no, do the nice thing. Like, I think that's just how humans come. But, having the second and being present with yourself to go, okay, but what is this going to lead to? And if it's not going to lead to something that you're proud of, that's where we can flip the script and say, I want to show up as my best self. I want to show up in a way that feels good to me, that creates the results that I'm going for. And so whatever I need to do to get me there, that's the one I'm going to prioritize. That's the stuff I'm going to say. And of course, that sometimes leads to some uncomfortable conversations, for sure. They're definitely not that fun. But they're also not as bad as this dragging out. Like, the way that competition and jealousy feels long term feels so darn bad.
Yeah, dude.
It feels awful.
What about keeping score and obligations?
Yeah,
That's totally not what you were talking about.
Oh, that's okay. I'll mark that down on my scorecard. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, keeping score, like, you might as well, this whole thing kind of washes that whole thing away. There is no score. Like, by the time, if you're engaging in scorekeeping, your focus is just on the wrong thing, right? The focus is, what are you going to do to fix this, to work on it, make your life what it is? By the time you're even in the problem, how do I normalize the score? How do I fix the score? How do I just stop. Like, just actually, there nothing about a score has anything to do with this. So you could literally just put that concept down and be like, I'm the one engaging in the idea that someone owes me anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And just real life example. Last week you were in a retreat certifying some coaches, and I was here at the house. So I work from home. She does too, but you were out of the home for 7 days straight certifying some coaches. And so I was here, and there was dishes, there was laundry, and we don't even decide who does what. We just, you know what I'm saying, once the hamper's running over, whoever gets there first, we just throw the stuff in there. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's not like, because that's a relationship. Whatever needs to be done. I think we're evolving from the society of the lady's going to do the laundry. She's going to do the dishes, which none of us are doing the laundry or the dishes, by the way. We're just throwing it in a machine. So it's not like you're actually doing it. I'm just throwing the dish in the dishwasher and putting the stuff in the washer, pushing play or whatever that button is. So it's not like we're doing anything, but what we're talking about here is how to have a good relationship, and you don't keep score. So last week, I was doing all the stuff at the house, but there was not a score. I'm just talking about this for this particular topic. But I could easily this week be like, shit, you wasn't here all week last week. I ain't doing nothing at the house.
Right, yeah.
But that's not the way it goes. We still are both again busy today. That's just what you have to do. And I think once you can take that scorekeeping, competition, jealousy, that out of it, you're going to have a great relationship, but you got to work on yourself first.
It's so true, because really and honestly, to accomplish being pissed about that stuff, because, you know, let's say we've had similar times where, like, you've been working more and I stepped up more around the house.
Yeah.
I have to purposefully forget that you are leaving the home to make us money. Like, I literally have to willfully ignore the portion of it that accounts for the fact that you're actually doing something. Like, and it's because it would be different if I was like, well, you just sat on the couch for a week, right? And you would be well within your right to be mad this week if I had just done that. If I had been like, you know what, babe, I ain't doing anything. And next week too. You know what I mean? Like, so it hones in on, I could be like, this man didn't do anything all weekend, and then I would have conveniently not told the portion of the story. It's because you're out on a business trip making us money. So it's sort of like me honing in on the portion that I want to be pissed about. I also have to ask myself, why am I making that a priority? Because I'm saying that help with the dishes outweighs what you're bringing in, right? And so that's the part that gets really tricky. Of you can have your feelings, that's absolutely right, but that's where, as adults, we have to say, yes, I just had a thought, and then there were chemical messengers released, and I do feel a type of way, but let me check in with myself if that's valid, because sometimes I know for me, and I'm just being fully transparent, where I have had feelings where I was like feeling a type of way, but when I thought about it, I knew I was tweaking. Like, I knew I had conveniently forgotten this other portion of it that allowed my feelings to stand, and that when we say doing the work, that's what it looks like. What was that thought that I was telling myself? You know, I need to go look at that. I need to do belief work on that. I also need this emotion. It's already here, so I can't say, you know, it's not. But since I'm not going to stand on that emotion, I need to go do something to work that emotion out, so that then I can go act like a normal human being. Right, because once I've done that thinking, what I really want to do is go, ooh, I don't want to make a big deal about this. I want to recognize that I was thinking of it inaccurately. Now that I clean that up, we can just all keep having a nice day. What I don't need to do is go kick up a bunch of shit for us both to get distracted and deal with, when that's really has no place. Now, sometimes that is required, but I will just say, it's when you move the goalpost and then you get pissy about having moved the goalpost, it's not going to work out for us in that way, right? Like, we won't ever win that one because it was fabricated by you. Yeah. So there won't be some great big aha come to Jesus, like blessing that comes from it, because it was an illusion to begin with. Right. So it's like I wouldn't expect anything to come from that. That's where we could just do our own work. And that's leaving our partner alone from that perspective.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that we will be taking some good examples. I would love to do some podcast episodes where those of you listening, if you're dealing with competition, whether from you or from the other person, we want to be able to help. So send in support at rocksandOceanspodcast.com. Just shoot us an email with what's going on in your relationship, and we will break it all down. We will kind of make it real clear and easy on the thinking, how we address it, how we work with people on this, because ultimately we're coaches and we work with a lot of people to help shift things very, very quickly. So you can check out that email. It's in the show notes. You can also hop on the calendar to learn more about different types of coaching and support that we have. Jay, do you want to tell them about the group program a little bit?
Yeah, we have a masculine leadership coaching men's group that meets once a month. That QR code or link will also be in the bottom of the show notes, to where if you're a guy and you're listening to this information and you feel like we're adding value to you, we want to get you in the men's group, because the more men that we can get more masculine, the better world we're all going to have. And so we do that once a month, and that link will be in the show notes.
Perfect. Yeah, learning more about presence, living a life on purpose, getting into your power, all that stuff. It is amazing. If I could be in it, I would, but I can just tell you about it instead. Nice. We'll do our own feminine group. So, ladies will do that.
So we just want to encourage you guys to, have great relationships. If it's not where you want it to be, that's okay. It can get to where you want it to be. You just have to do the work. We tried to put different things throughout the episode of practical things that you can do, to help you with some of the things that we talked about in the episode today. So thank y'all for joining, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon. Thanks for listening to the Rocks and Oceans podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend that could use this information. Please also subscribe and leave us a review so that more people can find this work. You can also find us over at YouTube and TikTok at Rocks and Oceans Podcast. Let's build a happier and more powerful world together.